What are the fundamental things that we should be teaching our kids? Now, I've thought about this a lot because I'm eager to be a good father, and I'm even more eager that my son doesn't struggle the way that I've struggled in the past. And I've come at this question from the perspective of someone who has struggled his entire life with various mental illnesses. I've always been depressed and anxious, and I feel like my old brain box has just repeatedly let me down. And so how do I put some semblance of architecture in place so that my son doesn't struggle as much as I did, or at least has better tools than I did? And I've given this some thought. The first thing I've thought is obviously the fundamentals are, be kind, be thoughtful, be mindful. We are social animals, so teaching him how to have and maintain healthy relationships. For one, I've just learned that myself. I'm 33, and I learned that when I met my fiance. But to be fair, I've had the same friends I've had for 20 years, so I've done something right at least there. The other thing I would like to teach my son as he grows up is an awareness for beauty, and I always thought the way I would do that is by teaching him how to paint. I don't know how to paint, but Bob Ross has a show on Netflix that can show him how to paint. But I always thought if he gets too stressed, or maybe something, I always picture taking him to the ocean and then sitting in front of the water with all the different sort of hues of blue that you see in the water, and getting him to notice what the different shades of blue, or go into a forest or a field and notice the different shades of green, and trying to paint that scene, because the world can seem very black and white sometimes, or very monotoned, and it isn't. There's a staggering variety of colors and shapes and noises and things to enjoy that we phase out a lot of the time because we're busy. We've got stuff to do. I don't have time to smell the roses. I don't have time to sit and ingest and imbue how gorgeous the world is. But I think that's a fundamental survival tool, because everything is quick. There's a lot of input. Everything is rushed, and there's too much for our brain to constantly process. So we get into I think we'll trigger ourselves into sort of survival mode, where we're just acting on base instinct, or we're just trying to get from A to B. We're just trying to get through the day. We're just trying to get to work. We're just trying to provide for our families. But actually, if we can just remind ourselves to pause and soak in the loveliness of the things around us. And the way I'm going to teach my son to do that is by just teaching him how to paint and observe beauty and document it and paint it. I think that's a key one. The relationships one is another thing. I want him to be able to, understand that sharing and supporting friends helps, and there's ways to maintain relationships. But also, I suppose later on, the sort of advanced lessons would be not to waste too much time giving to people who don't deserve it. You know what I mean? Because I find that's another lesson I didn't learn until I was 30. That some people are gangrenous limbs that need to be cut, and identifying those people are key. Well, that's probably a heavy lesson for a 3-year-old. So it won't start there, but that'll be a gradual lesson. The other things is, we all know that the body needs water and oxygen and food to survive. But get my friends who are nutritionists and weightlifters and bodybuilders to teach him the fundamentals of nutrition, what's healthy, what the body needs. Teach him that the body's like a car, and you need the right fuel. The wrong fuel will break it down immediately or over time, and the right fuel will help maintain his brain and body. The other thing we know that the brain needs, other than relationships and food and water, is to be outside. I remind him that I try and teach him that going for walks and being in amongst nature is so good for the brain. It's a good way of relaxing and getting away from the hustle and bustle of reality for a minute. And I suppose the other thing is, I really would love to impart a love of science in my son, and I do that already. What we do is we set up a table in the front room, and we put all sorts of bowls and cups full of different things, eggs and flour and salt and cheese and all sorts of things, so that he can just play with it and make a mess and learn what happens when you put this over there and this in here, and what happens if you don't be afraid to make a huge mess. And always try and encourage him asking questions. If he's asking, why is this and what is that, and always try and go, wow, good question, and trying to, that's not always easy, because we're sleep-deprived parents. We can't always tap into that personality. But where possible, try and encourage and develop and make him feel clever and special for asking questions, no matter how basic those questions might seem to us. So a love of science, a love of the universe, a love of space, things that I love that I've only come to appreciate later on in life, things that when I'm really depressed really help me, because I just think, man, there's so much beauty. There's so much beauty, and I want him to be able to see it and identify it, and to remember to take a minute to absorb all that in. Hello, by the way, you're listening to the Steve Kalish Show. I've had about 10 days off from work and work responsibilities, and it's been nice. I've still done some podcasting bits. Obviously, I want to be the best podcaster in the world. I can't take too much time off from that. I need the practice and the rhythm and that sort of thing. But it's been nice. We went to Longley. We went to the Sea Life Centre, and I bring this up because these are things that also I think help his development, because he's a lockdown baby, and because we haven't had a lot of help, we haven't had the opportunity to take him to things like that very much. And now he's a little bit older as well, so he can now enjoy these experiences. And he loves seeing, the giraffes. And he was right. But when he looked alarmed, when we went to Longley, my son looked alarmed at the size of the giraffes. And I was giving it oh, come on, son, this will be a giraffe. It can't hurt you. And as we got closer, I was like, God damn. Oh, my God. Giraffes look like they've been plucked from planet Glombley and then teleported here because their planet Glombley was about to be eviscerated. So some deity or powerful wizard transported the giraffes here, and they're just the most unusual creatures I've ever seen. They're aliens. They don't fit in at all on the on the planet, but they're beautiful. I mean, me and my son were both sort of alarmed, but it was great. Longley is expensive, but beautiful. And it's a worthwhile experience. And the Sea Life Centre as well. The Sea Life Centre that's all he's been talking about. The octopuses and the seahorses and stuff. He sort of fell in love with them. And I would love, and those things. It was actually the Sea Life Centre that got me thinking about a lot of this, because I just felt seeing all these gorgeous tropical fish and these animals. I thought, man, there must be millions of fish and millions of species of fish that I don't even know exist, that I've never seen before, and all of them are weird and beautiful and unusual. And I was like, man, the planet is. Earth is incredible. Earth is incredible. We live on an amazing planet full of infinite variety and things to fascinate you. And I suppose the overarching lesson for my son is just consider that, because the world's an incredible place. And that's all I wanted to say today. I haven't recorded anything for a minute, so I'm a little bit rusty. So I just want to get behind the microphone and put some stuff out there. Remember, this episode and everything we do now is sponsored by Graham's Windows and Doors. So get yourself to grahamswindowsanddoors.co.uk. Sherelle and James are so good. Whenever I ping an idea at them, or they're just so supportive. They absolutely get what we're trying to do with Kalish Media and the Steve Kalish Show. So thank you, James and Sherelle. If you're listening to this, please do me a favor and go to grahamswindowsanddoors.co.uk. Check out their selection. It's great. They're a great company. They're a great couple. And we're very, 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 very grateful to have them on board. So thank you for listening to the Steve Kalish Show. I really appreciate it. And I hope our next episode will be with the whole gang again. Coming in later on, we've got Lissy and Kev and George, so we can record a proper episode again. So we're very excited about that. So thank you for listening. I love you dearly, and I will see you on the other side.